Hello, everyone, and welcome along to Championship Drill and our look at the World Cup. Not so much daily anymore now that the World Cup is into its final stages. The semi-finals are set after the last two quarter-finals. We just had the England-France game, and earlier today we had Morocco and Portugal, which we're going to talk about first. Yeah, I mean,
Portugal,
two great games.
Portugal didn't show up in this first game. Um, I thought they were very, very poor. Like if anyone was over five in the rankings in this game, I'd be very surprised for Portugal. They just were not very good. Uh,
No, they weren't. They weren't great in this one. A lot of the ball didn't do an awful lot with it. Only three shots on target. To be fair to Morocco's goalkeeper, who I think was making his 50th appearance tonight.
yeah,
Um,
you played well. You really did.
he played well. He made a couple of great saves. One very good save near the end.
Yeah,
Bruno Fernandes. Again, I think he's been Portugal's best player this tournament. I think he was, as good as anybody for them today.
yeah, yeah. I
Very
know
unlucky with one shot.
he hit the crossbar, yeah, in the first half.
Very, very unlucky.
But yeah, you were right. You're spot on though. They had all the possession, but they just didn't do anything with the ball.
Yeah, and it's tough. And I mean, we talked about it last night about Morocco and about how not to write them off because they're a good team. And we were just talking about it there before we came on about like they topped the group with Belgium and Croatia.
Yeah.
Then they had Spain, who they beat. Then they had Portugal, who they beat.
Exactly.
So they've done it the hard way, and we were saying last night how no African team has ever made the semi-final of a World Cup.
Yeah, first.
They have now.
Yeah, first time ever.
First time ever. Obviously Ghana, the ones that were unlucky not to do it that time with the handball on the line right at the end, and then the missed penalty. And we'll talk about missed penalties again later on the other game. But a deserving winner. I think some of the comments after the game from Portuguese players was a little strange from Pepe's one. Pepe blamed Messi for Portugal losing this game.
Yeah, they're trying to say that there's no Portuguese ref in the whole World Cup, which is very odd.
Yeah,
because
and they're also they were saying that because Messi and Argentina and everything that they were getting no decisions, and he was upset that there was only 8 minutes of stoppage time, that there should have been more, and there probably should have been more.
Yeah.
To be fair to him. But I don't think if they played another 10 minutes, they'd have scored a goal. Morocco looked very solid at the back.
Yeah.
I know Pepe had a great chance at the end. He missed it. And brilliant moment then when you just see the Moroccan player kiss him on the head after he missed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
As if to say, thanks very much for missing that one. It was a great chance. Ronaldo left on the bench again. Probably the right call. I mean, you can't drop a young fella that just scored a hat-trick. But he wasn't very impressive in this one up front.
No, he was woeful. I think besides that header, he probably should have done better with.
Ronaldo was brought on early in the second half, to be fair, and I think he now is the joint highest appearance record in international games.
Yeah.
I think he equaled that, so of 196 international, and possibly his last international match. I imagine it will be his last international match.
It's hard to know. It's that kind of thing what we've talked about before. If they get into the tournament and he feels okay.
Yeah, if they qualify for the Euros and he's 39 and still playing, maybe he'll say, look, I'll come along.
Yeah.
I thought the goalkeeping was poor for the actual goal.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing. It was
him. If you come that far, you have to get the ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he didn't.
Yeah.
And I think it's wonderful for the World Cup. If we look at the last four, and there was a real chance we were going to have 3 European teams and a South American team in there. But now the fact that we've got an African team in there, just I think it's great for the tournament, and it's great for African football.
It's outstanding. It's just
guy I got to feel sorry for slightly is Morocco's manager, who qualified them for the tournament, the best qualifying record in Africa, and he got sacked before the tournament started.
Yeah.
And now they've gone on to the semi-final of the World Cup.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, why are you getting rid of me? best qualifying ever. What's this new guy going to do? And he's taking them to the semi-final of the World Cups.
Yeah.
So, you've got to feel sorry for that guy.
Also, as
But
well, just feeling sorry while we're talking about feeling sorry for someone.
yeah,
I hope that Sayas doesn't miss the rest of the World Cup. Didn't look good.
yeah,
He went off in a stretcher.
yeah. And we've seen him play a lot, obviously.
Yeah, it didn't look good.
Didn't look good. Obviously, they were down to 10 men, 90 plus 3. Still not quite sure why. He must have said something to the referee, did he? Or was it a second yellow for a booking that I just didn't pick up the first booking? I don't know.
Yeah, it was a weird one.
And he seemed to get 2 yellow cards very quickly.
Yeah, I think he did say something to the referee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the
So,
space of like 3 minutes. He had 2 yellows. He was gone.
yeah. So it was a strange one. He'll obviously now miss the semi-final, but he won't miss the final should they make it.
Yeah.
But a bit of a loss for them, I suppose. But credit to Morocco. I mean, I think it's 5 clean sheets in 6 World Cup games or something like that.
Yeah, they're the most defensively sound team in the World Cup for sure.
Yeah, and it's not going to be easy for France to break them down. And obviously, there's a lot of history historically between France and Morocco. Morocco was a French colony for so long.
Yeah.
A lot of the Moroccan players were born in France.
Yeah.
So there's a big history between those two countries in general, anyway. So it's going to make it somewhat of a derby match, you would imagine. But Morocco's so good at the back.
Yeah.
Where they're going to struggle more than likely is if they fall behind in a game. Because
also as well, I don't think anybody has the pace for Mbappe.
No, but they'll defend so deep they mightn't give him time to run into any space. For Portugal, they just didn't show up. I thought Ronaldo was terrible again when he came on.
Yeah, he'd one chance, I remember.
But then again, none of them were great, like you said already.
Well, Joe Felix was bad. He missed a few chances.
Yeah, I did think Bruno Fernandes was good. I think he's had a decent World Cup. I think he can go back now and be ready for United when the season kicks on again. And without Ronaldo, I think Bruno Fernandes is going to have a very good second half to the season for United.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think you're going to see him back to his best and scoring goals, because I think that was one of the issues with Ronaldo. And it is hard when you have a player who's been so good for so long, but they're coming to the end of their career and it's like they just can't accept it.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's kind of throwing toys out the pram a little bit. Yeah. But you can talk all they want about how many goals he scored for United last season in terms of, well, he got 20 goals. But then how many did Rashford score, or Martial, Martial was way unknown, but how many did Fernandes score, or Rashford, or any of the others that were scoring the other seasons?
Yeah,
they got very few goals because it was just give the ball to Ronaldo.
Yeah,
exactly. And let him score the 20 goals. So I think Bruno is going to come on, and I think he's going to have a decent second half season, start scoring and assisting again for United.
Yeah.
And he'll get to go home early now, which is probably good news for United.
Well, considering they're
Burnley, chance he'll make that game now, because he's got 2 weeks now essentially before that match.
Well, they're Burnley now in 10 days.
Yeah, so so he should be okay there, you would imagine, for that. And they're going to need him back anyway, because United, obviously, with the game against Barcelona as well, in February, the extra game, they're going to need all their players back and fit and firing. And it gives them a bit of a chance to get over the heartbreak a little bit. But, credit to Morocco. They're a team that me and you have been championing throughout the tournament and just saying, look, these guys are good. You've got to give them credit.
Exactly.
You've got to pay attention to them. Like, you don't fluke your way past Croatia, Belgium, Spain, and Portugal.
Exactly.
I mean, they topped the group with Croatia and Belgium in it.
Yeah, they're stubborn as well. They're really stubborn.
Yeah. And I think they deserve it.
I'm looking forward to it.
I think they deserve it, and it's going to make that semi-final really, really good, I think.
Yeah.
Then we may as well move on to the other game, which was, I thought, England were very unlucky.
Yeah, I thought the first 15 minutes they looked frightened or something.
Yeah.
But that referee was almost as bad as last night.
Worse, I'd say. I mean, for starters, for me, the first French goal shouldn't count.
Well, if it was a foul,
I think that's a foul against Saka every day of the week.
Yeah, no, I agree.
you can't go through somebody to get to the ball fairly. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
And I think that was a mistake in the goal. No, great strike. Pickford saw it late. I think he still should have got something on it. Now, that's not to say Pickford played bad because he made a couple of great saves in the game as well.
Yeah,
But I
it's so
think he'll
far.
be disappointed.
It's how far he was out.
Yeah, I think Pickford will be disappointed because even though he saw it late, he saw enough of it, I think, to be able to get his hand there, and he just didn't get there quick enough.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
You know, not an easy one to save, but you know, a top goalkeeper will
I know
probably
Roy.
feel he should
I
have
know
saved
Roy
it.
laid into him, all right.
Yeah.
Roy Keane laid into
Did
him.
he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Saved it.
Like, I don't think it's an easy save to make, but I think it's one Pickford will be disappointed he didn't make.
Yeah, he had enough time to see it, like.
Yeah. So France go in 1-0 at half time. I don't think they deserved to go in 1-0 at half time. Possible penalty shout. I don't think it was. I think it was outside the box.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It was oh yeah,
I've seen a few.
Kane, yeah, that was outside the box.
I think that was outside the box. So you can't, VAR can't go back and give a free kick, even if they thought it was a foul.
Yeah.
They're allowed to go back and give.
Which is a dumb rule, by the way. They should change that.
Yeah. There was also a few strange calls from the referee, I thought. I thought Griezmann can count himself very lucky he was still on the pitch.
Oh, yeah, there was a
And
shot.
ultimately, he's the one that swung in the cross for the winning goal for Giroud. Already being booked, he blatantly stopped the counter-attack.
Yeah.
Something he's definitely learned from Diego Simeone at Atletico Madrid. And he should have been sent off, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It would have been a harsh second yellow, but
I've seen him
stop a counter-attack, you get booked. It's just the rules. And I don't think the England players were happy with that. I thought Saka did well.
There's a lot of
I thought Saka was playing really well. I really don't understand that substitution in taking him off to bring Sterling on.
Yeah, weird one.
I think they'd have been better off to take Phil Foden off to bring Sterling on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought Saka had Hernandez on toast, and Hernandez was terrified of him. Yeah. Especially in the second half, everything went through Saka, and England looked very dangerous. He won the penalty. Kane tucked it away. Maybe Saka, he'd been kicked a lot. Maybe that was part of the thinking of taking him off. Yeah. Even though he wasn't getting any free kicks, he was still getting kicked a lot.
Yeah.
Strange substitutions overall, I thought, from him. I thought, Rashford should have come on sooner.
Mm-hmm. Maguire should also score a header as well.
He was very unlucky, hit the outside of the post.
Bad miss.
Should have done better. I honestly think England deserved the win in this game. I thought they were brilliant. I really do.
Yeah.
I think a couple of moments of quality from France. Wonderful long strike, like we said, even though I think the keeper should have saved it. And a great cross from Griezmann.
Well, he should have scored.
I think Maguire was it.
He should have scored 5 minutes before that.
Yeah. I think Maguire was a bit slow to react.
Yeah.
Probably should have come across Griezmann. He's in there to head the ball clear. I think he reacted a little bit late, but to Giroud. But at the same time, it's a wonderful ball in.
Yeah.
So it's not the easiest ball in the world to defend against. Great quality from Griezmann, who I think is very lucky he was still on the pitch at that stage. And I think England very unlucky. They go down. The ref doesn't give a penalty for the push on Mount. It's not even a push. It's a shoulder barge into the back. And I love the French players trying to say, but I used my shoulder.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And it just reminds me of, I'm constantly telling the kids I coach, they say the same thing to me. They're like, but I used my shoulder. If a free kick is given against them, or if I give it in training against them, and I'm always telling them the same thing. I'm saying, yeah, you used your shoulder, but you shouldered him in the back. You're not allowed to do that.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe growing up, he was allowed to get away with it, Hernandez. But another penalty to England. I have no idea why it's not a red card.
Yeah.
Because I think Mount is clean through on goal.
Yeah, he just blew him out of the way. Yeah, you're right.
But maybe they're thinking, well, the ball is over his head. He's not going to get to it, but you don't know that.
Yeah.
There's a chance Mount gets to that ball if he's not knocked onto the ground.
Exactly.
And he's clean through on goal. I think that should have been a red card. I think, again, the referee was very poor.
Mm-hmm.
I think that absolutely should have been another red card. I think France are very lucky that they didn't have 2 men sent off. Certainly, they should have had one sent
the
off.
penalty was absolutely shocking.
Terrible, terrible. I was sitting here with Claire, and she was saying he's going to miss. He's going to miss. And I was thinking to myself, what would I do in that situation? You've already hit one to the keeper's right.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, for me, you just hit it as hard as you can down the middle.
Yeah.
And it's like he thought about hitting it hard down the middle, and then thought about maybe hitting it the same way again, and in the end, kind of just blasted it over the bar. It's like no, I'm not a massive Harry Kane fan, obviously being an Arsenal fan.
Mm-hmm.
But I do hope he's not torn apart in the media for missing the penalty, because a lot of pressure on it. He blazed it over the bar, fair enough, but I think England were just very, very unlucky.
Yeah. They really were.
I
A lot
also
of
think,
good.
I mean, but then what I do think you have going for England is their team. They are so young.
Yeah.
The next World Cup, they are going to be one of the favourites. I mean, you go through the team and you're thinking maybe the back four is where they might be cut out in a few years' time.
But we don't know who's coming through either. There could be someone.
No. I mean, at that stage, Ben White will be 28, 29. I know he went home for fighting with one of the coaches, but they're not going to be the coaches at the next World Cup. In terms of their ages and things, you look at the forwards, how young Foden is, how young Saka is.
Yeah.
You think of Rashford is still relatively young. He's going to be there at the next World Cup.
Yeah.
You look at Bellingham, how young he is. Rice, Calvin Phillips. Grealish is still relatively young.
Yeah.
Alexander Arnold is still young. Ramsdale on goal isn't that old. There's a lot there for me, and I don't know why it happened this way. And I understand he brought on Mount, and that Mount won the penalty. Unless there's an injury, I don't know why James Maddison isn't getting on to that pitch at some stage.
It's a weird one. It's a really weird one. I'm not sure either. It just my brother was only beforehand.
He's the player in the best form, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Stones looked like he's after picking up an injury.
Yeah.
I also don't understand why Foden was left on for 85 minutes. I think when you take Saka off for Sterling, I think you bring Rashford on for Foden at the same time.
Yeah, you're gonna have to,
how unlucky was Rashford, by the way, with that free kick at the end?
Oh, it was very close, and it was so close.
That was some strike. I mean, he thought it was in.
Yeah, just speaking of him,
and as a player,
was it?
As a player, when you hit a ball that well, you just know you've hit it well. Like he really thought that was in.
Yeah.
For me, it's a very, very strange one in terms of the substitutions he made, and I think he got them wrong today.
Well,
I'm glad the way he started, though. I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah.
Go 3 at the back, like we were talking about a possibility yesterday, and I'm glad he did do what we thought he would do, which was leave Walker hang back with Maguire and Stones and let Shaw push forward.
Yeah. The amount of people online calling him a politician is hilarious.
Gareth Southgate, yeah.
I think he's gone, to be honest with you.
He's done. He's surely done in the job. Who comes in, though? I mean, they've got a good young team, good young players coming through. Very good underage team as well. It seems like they need a good young manager.
They'll put someone like Mourinho in there, and it won't be him. But I'm just saying it'll be someone similar.
I think they need someone who's going to give the youngsters the chance to play with a bit of freedom.
Yeah, it's hard to know because
I don't know who's around to do that, though. Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, for me personally, if I'm in charge of the FA and I'm looking around, even though they didn't do great in the World Cup, I am looking at Luis Enrique, who just left Spain, and I'm saying,
I just saw a rumor about him earlier today, actually.
Yeah,
that he could be going to Atletico because Simeone's on the last legs.
Is he?
Yeah. Apparently, the rumor is that Joe Felix wants to leave I let it
Okay.
go because of the manager. Players are not getting on with him, and we know ourselves that he's horrible anyway. Simeone.
He's a tough disciplinarian, all right.
Yeah.
Um, I think England, if they move fast enough, could possibly get Luis Enrique. Um, I think international management suits him at the minute. Maybe he wants to get back into club management. I don't know. But I can't think of too many other England managers that are out there in terms of like
Big Sam, bring him back.
pre-backing 100% record as England manager. Um, like I can't see too many other like good young managers out there that are English.
They're all in jobs like Eddie Howe and Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
So it's one of those where what do you do? Steven Gerrard obviously doesn't have a job, but I don't think you're putting him and Frank Lampard in there. You know,
no.
maybe down the line, maybe if they can prove themselves, but I think they've both not been brilliant. I think Lampard's doing a bit better at Everton
I'd
these
be
days.
interested now to see who actually goes there because I can't see him lasting any longer than.
Yeah, for me, I if I was the FA, I'd be trying to get him, Luis Enrique. I'm gonna have a look for who's the odds for the next England manager. Pochettino seems to be the favorite, and then Tuchel.
Okay, that would make sense. I think Tuchel wants to stay in England. I think that's why.
Yeah, I don't think Pochettino will be a great appointment for them.
No, he wouldn't. I don't think he would work.
Eddie Howe is there, but he's not going anywhere. Graham Potter is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Eddie Howe's not leaving Newcastle.
Arsene Wenger and Lee Carsley are on the list. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean Wenger's turned down the England job before, and I think at his age now, maybe like I think Wenger was to come back into management, it would be to an international team.
Yeah.
I think it would suit him better. But I mean, he has a job at FIFA at the minute. I can't see him doing it, but you never know. I suppose never say never. He is the kind of manager who could look after young players.
Brendan Rodgers, I would if I could pick anyone right now, I'd put him in there.
Yeah, but I mean, you're looking at. I suppose you're looking at whoever you do pick. You've got to be thinking the next World Cup. You've got to be thinking longer than the Euros.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think you've got to be thinking 4 years time, or 3.5 years time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like Graham Potter seems to be the favorite, but he's not leaving Chelsea.
No.
Like, why would he leave Chelsea?
Yeah, he won't. He won't leave Chelsea.
And then you're looking at Steve Cooper. Like, no. I don't see that happening. Brendan Rodgers, like you said, Arsene Wenger, 16th one. Wenger wouldn't surprise me. I have to say. I know it's a bit out of left field, but he wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
It all depends on whether he wants to do it, but it wouldn't surprise me if they had a word with him anyway.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, one thing he always did at Arsenal, he was great with the young players, and England have a young squad, so who knows. Tuchel would surprise me a little bit. I think he enjoys club management. And Pochettino, I don't know would they go down that road. They might. But again, I think he's another one who wants to be back in club management. Zinedine Zidane, we all know, wants the French job. I don't see him going to England. Plus, he's never played in England or anything like that. He's got no connection there. I don't see why he'd go there. Exactly. Jurgen Klopp, I think, is going to stay at Liverpool. If he doesn't go and take the German job.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's tough to know. It's going to be interesting, like you said, to see Alan Pardew, Jamie Carragher, and down at the end of the odds that I see here is Paul Scholes 175 to 1. Steve Bruce at 100 to 1. Could you imagine if Steve Bruce became their next manager? I'd say the fans would riot. 50 to 1 Emma Hayes from Chelsea. I don't see Emma Hayes becoming the England men's manager.
Not right now, but I think in the future we are going to see it eventually.
Possibly. Sean Dyche 33 to 1. He'd be better off suited as the next Dutch manager, given the football they played at the end of the game yesterday. Wayne Rooney 20 to 1. Not a bad shout. Done great things at Derby. Um, I think though, if they were looking to bring in a Wayne Rooney or someone like that,
Yeah,
I think you do almost like what Ireland tried with O'Neill and Keane. Like I
yeah,
think if they could persuade Wenger to come in and take the job,
yeah,
I think you bring Rooney in then with him.
yeah, exactly.
With when Wenger's done, Rooney takes over.
Yeah, that would be the ideal thing that you would do. Yeah,
So I do think if Wenger does end up getting the job, and I don't know if he will, I do think you bring in a young England manager with him, whether that's Rooney or Gerrard or whoever it might be, someone to learn under him on the job.
but whoever it is, anyway, people are going to hate it. So
Yeah, I mean,
Harry
I
Redknapp is the
think
man.
Harry Redknapp. Yeah, I think Wenger would be a popular enough appointment with the England fans, though. I really do.
Yeah, people love him.
It,
People love him in London, and especially.
yeah, and I do think if they gave it to him, um, I do think it wouldn't be a bad idea to bring in a Gerrard or Rooney alongside him. If they wanted to do that, I don't know. Like Gerrard probably still wants to be in club management. Rooney's just moved to the States. Um, I don't know if they'd want to do that, but I think there's no harm in that.
Yeah, no, I think.
Um,
Yeah,
so we'll have to wait and see, I suppose, on that one. But ultimately, France go through. Um, Kind of a hard fought victory for them, I suppose. They dug it out a little bit. I don't think they deserved it.
yeah,
Um, I thought England were very, very unlucky. For
mm,
France, I don't think there was many great players. I really don't. I think the England players were better than them, man for man. I thought Hernandez was terrible.
mhm.
I thought the midfield. We said the midfield would struggle against the English midfield, and they
I
did.
think. Yeah, yeah. Bellingham wasn't.
Um, I thought Lloris. We know he's a bit shaky. He dropped a few crosses, but he made important saves when he had to.
Yeah,
I did think Giroud was a handful for
yeah.
them.
It's
We
amazing.
talked about that. Is like
Yeah,
Stones and Maguire should have been able to deal with him,
yeah.
but he bullied them at times,
Mhm.
um, getting to the ball. Griezmann was definitely for me like the best player for France, but lucky to still be on the pitch. They kept Mbappe very, very quiet, um, and yeah, they were cut out by then the other two by Griezmann and Giroud. We said you've got to keep all three of them quiet, really. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I have more questions about this France team after this game than I have thinking they're brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I think England showed how vulnerable they can be, and um, if it is set up for Argentina to go through, and I'm not so sure it will be,
Mm.
um, it's a hard one to know what a France Argentina game will be like. Because again,
Yeah,
I think Tushimani and Rabido in the middle are not the greatest players, but I'm not convinced by Argentina's
you
midfield
almost
either.
cancel each other out though, in a way.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. They've got to get past Morocco first, and that's going to be a cracker, like we said.
First
I'm
up,
looking forward to the semi-finals. I really, really am.
Croatia
I think
first.
I think Croatia are going to give Argentina a tough test. Like I said last night, and the more that's come out about it, you see Argentina players crying, and you see them giving out, and you see all this kind of stuff. I think the manager has a hell of a job, the Argentinian manager, to get the players mentally ready for that game. I think they're drained emotionally after that match last night.
100%.
Uh, and I think the one thing Croatia will be is focused. They know what they're doing.
Mhm.
You can see a repeat of the final 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, and I think that wouldn't be a bad final.
Yeah, but was the revenge on Croatia's mind this time?
Maybe, maybe. Uh, it,
Yeah.
um, it's hard to know, isn't it? Like, where do England go from here? Like we said, I mean, you can't say they've had a bad tournament.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like they
Um,
haven't really. They've just been under the influence of a poor manager. Uh,
yeah, I mean they got through the groups very easily. Um, Hammered Iran, beat a very average Wales team, drew with the USA, but still topped the group. Then they beat Senegal pretty well, I thought. Looked really good in that game. Then came up against France, the real big test, the first big test tournament. They go out, but they probably deserve to win it.
yeah.
It's not like they played badly. So it's going to be a hard one for them to. I can understand the players really hurting a little bit after that one because they gave everything. Um, Whereas I think in the game last night, the Holland-Argentina game, I think it was a case of Holland really didn't come into it until the last 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Argentina would have been felt very unlucky had they not gone through yesterday. Today, Morocco did their job. You know, Croatia did what they had to do against Brazil. Again, Brazil, like England, will probably feel they were the better team and went out. So, yeah, it's interesting. Looking forward to the semi-finals. Who do you think wins it from here then?
You know what? I'd love Morocco to get to the final, even if they don't win it.
Yeah, I'd love Morocco Croatian final. We said it last night. It would be the dream final.
Yeah,
Morocco and Croatia.
Morocco.
I could see that happening. I mean, you're in the semi-finals now. None of the teams that are in the semi-finals fluked their way there.
No,
really.
Thankfully,
They all deserve to be there.
Yeah, they all do. They all do.
I mean, you think about it. Argentina. I think out of all the teams, Argentina are the weakest. I think they've stumbled into the semi-final, with a massive assist at times from referees.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much more they have to give, to be honest with you. But at the same time, having said that, you know, I think the only game they look good in was when they beat Poland. I really do. I don't think they, other than that, I don't think they were great. It's hard to know because Croatia, I don't know what it is. There's just something about them at a World Cup, like we've said it before. Yeah. They just do so well in World Cups, so they're into another semi-final.
This is the last time, though, I think, after this one. Modric is the man that does a lot of the groundwork. Yeah. Very difficult.
And we talked about it last night. If I'm Perisic, if I'm Modric, if I'm a few of those midfielders on the Croatian team, I'm winding those Argentinians up as much as I can early on.
Exactly.
They will react, and Holland showed that they're going to react.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can get in their heads early, you can really throw them off their game, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So will we leave it there after a very, very disappointing night for England, I think. They were really, really unlucky.
They really were.
Feel bad for them. I think they're going to be stronger for the experience.
And then we have the World Cup final in 1 week tomorrow.
1 week tomorrow for the final. We're hoping for that Morocco-Croatia game. It would be great. Yeah. I don't know. It's so hard to call. It really is. I just hope the semi-finals are good games. I thought the 2 games today were very entertaining. The game last night obviously was very entertaining. But we'll have to wait and see what happens in the semi-finals. We will be back. When are we back? When are the semi-finals? Middle of next week, Tuesday and Wednesday.
Tuesday and Wednesday, and then there's the match on Saturday evening and Sunday.
Yeah, so we will be back either after the first semi-final, or maybe we leave it till both semi-finals are played and do a show then. We're going to be back Monday evening for sure. And for those of you who listen to our championship one, which is kind of what the podcast is about generally, where we'll be reviewing all those games. Won't talk about them much today, but a few surprise results today.
After on Monday after the West Brom Sunderland game.
Yeah, we'll be getting that podcast out to you after that game. So do keep listening to the channel and that for that. Thanks everyone for listening again, and we will join you guys who listen to the championship show on Monday. And with the World Cup, we'll be back either Tuesday or Wednesday. I haven't decided yet if we'll do both semis together or not.